Are you ready for the latest clown show from the mainstream media circus? ABC's George Stephanopoulos decided to take a swing at a rape survivor simply for endorsing Trump. Disgusting, right? He had Congresswoman Nancy Mace on, and he mentioned the rape trial that Trump was found liable for with E. Jean Carroll, the lunatic from New York, and he tried to shame the Congresswoman for supporting Trump, who happens to be the leader of her party. I guess he didn't do his homework because he didn't know that the Congresswoman was raped at the age of 16, and she let him know what she thought of his interview tactics. You're not going to want to miss this one. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. So our old friend Georgie Stephanopoulos is back at it again with another asinine display of journalistic malintegrity, if that's even a word. This time the ringleader of the mainstream media clown college decided to ask Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace a question so absurd, so blatantly biased, that you'd think even he would be embarrassed. But of course, shame is a foreign concept to these liberal media hacks. Now, here's the setup. Mace is a survivor of rape, a fact that should immediately disqualify any line of questioning that could be construed as victim blaming or shaming. But George here clearly didn't get the memo. No, instead, he goes right for the jugular, asking Mace how she could possibly endorse Donald Trump given the allegations against him. I mean, talk about a low blow. It's almost like he was trying to insinuate that by supporting Trump, she was somehow invalidating her own trauma. Pretty twisted stuff, if you ask me. Now, I really like how Mace responds to him. This is about 2 minutes long, guys, but trust me, it's worth your time because this is really good. This is how you handle a political hack like George Stephanopoulos. Give it a watch.
Yes, this morning. And you've endorsed Donald Trump for president. Judges and two separate juries have found him liable for rape and for defaming the victim of that rape. How do you square your endorsement of Donald Trump with the testimony we just saw?
Well, I will tell you, I was raped at the age of 16. And any rape victim will tell you, I've lived for 30 years with an incredible amount of shame over being raped. I didn't come forward because of that judgment and shame that I felt. And it's a shame that you will never feel, George. And I'm not going to sit here on your show and be asked a question meant to shame me about another potential rape victim. I'm not gonna do that.
It's actually not about shaming you. It's a question about Donald Trump.
No, you are shaming me.
You've endorsed Donald Trump for president.
Right.
Donald Trump has been found liable for rape by a jury. Donald Trump has been found liable for defaming the victim of that rape by a jury. It's been affirmed by a judge.
It was not a criminal court case, number one.
I love the fact that she pointed out it's not a criminal course, but a civil court. More on that in a minute.
Number two, I live with shame. And you're asking me a question about my political choices, trying to shame me as a rape victim, and I find it disgusting. And quite frankly, E. Jean Carroll's comments when she did get the judgment, joking about what she was going to buy, it makes it harder for women to come forward when they make a mockery out of rape, when they joke about it.
Does it make it harder for women to come forward when they
It makes it harder when other women joke about it, and she's joked about it. I find it offensive. And I also find it offensive that you're trying to shame me with this question.
I'm not trying to shame you at all. In fact,
I have dealt with this for 30 years. You know how hard it was to tell my story 5 years ago when they were doing a fetal heartbeat bill and there were no exceptions for rape, incest, or rape or incest in there? I had to tell my story because no other woman was coming forward. No rape victims were represented.
I love how she called him out on the fact that it was not a criminal court, but a civil court. That's important. Here's the reality, guys. There are many cases that would never make it through a criminal court, but you would be able to find a preponderance of evidence in a civil court. For those of you who voted for Joe Biden, that means instead of a unanimous jury verdict, all you need is 51%. This is especially egregious when the evidence doesn't matter because it's Donald Trump that any New York jury wants to hang because of the propaganda that's been spewed about him by lowlifes, pond scum like George Stephanopoulos. But you know what really irks living hell out of me? The overwhelming stench of hypocrisy oozing from this sanctimonious little twerp. Because before Georgie boy was whitening his teeth for ABC News TV cameras, he was nothing more than a party hack and Clinton apologist. An apologist for the many deeds of a serial sexual predator. That's right, this pond scum was Bill Clinton's communications director and senior advisor back in the 90s. The same Bill Clinton with enough sexual assault allegations to put Harvey Weinstein to shame. George here wasn't exactly raising a moral objection back then, was he? In fact, I'd wager he was too busy spinning those oh-so-troublesome bimbo eruptions to be bothered about empowering women or any of that progressive poppycock. Funny how his moral compass seems to only point in one direction these days, isn't it? Look, I get it. The Clintons are Democratic royalty. They get a free pass for just about anything in the eyes of the liberal media elites. But Donald Trump, wow, it's open season for any bad faith attack the leftist brain trust can muster up. But hey, at least Mace handled the whole thing like a pro, didn't she? Calling out old Georgie boy for his blatant attempt at a cheap political hit. I know what you're thinking, Rich. Surely this is just an isolated incident, a momentary lapse in judgment by an otherwise upstanding member of the Fourth Estate. This is just the latest in a long line of gotcha moments from our friends over at ABC News. Remember back in 2012 when Stephanopoulos, acting as a moderator during a Republican primary debate, he asked Mitt Romney if states had the authority to ban contraception. You remember that? It was a question so absurd, so transparently loaded, that it could only have been designed to generate a soundbite to be ruthlessly taken out of context and weaponized against the Republican frontrunner at the time. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. Let me say this. I hate Stephanopoulos even more for making me defend Mittens Romney. But when he asked the Republican frontrunner that question, Romney responded this way. He said, George, this is an unusual topic that you're raising. States have a right to ban contraception? I can't imagine a state banning contraception. I can't imagine the circumstances where a state would want to do so. And if I were governor of a state or yada, 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 but the damage was done. The next day, just about every left-wing rag in the country reported that Mitt Romney wanted to ban contraception. And it was all due to the hit piece of George Stephanopoulos. It's almost like they have a playbook or something, isn't it? I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Stephanopoulos and his merry band of media sophists have long since abandoned any hint of decency or objectivity. They're all about peddling establishment narratives under the guise of real journalism these days. There was nothing real about that. It's all a cockastocracy cloaked in television makeup, if you ask me. A few snide questions here, some glaring omissions of inconvenient facts there, all to maintain the illusion that they, and they alone, are the arbiters of truth in this country. Meanwhile, they're all full of shit. This latest stunt just reeks of desperation from the profession that's crumbling under the weight of its own corruption and bias. The American people are waking up, turning off their biased broadcasts in favor of outlets that actually value honesty over partisan hackery. And Georgie, try as you might to cling to the relevance with these sad performative displays of faux indignation, we see right through you, pal. So by all means, keep churning out this professional level trolling in the name of real journalism. We'll be watching. The American people are waking up to this. We see you, coastal elites, for the frauds that you really are. And we're turning you off more and more each day in favor of outlets that actually value honesty over self-righteous partisan hackery. All right, guys, smash that like button if you think the mainstream media is nothing more than a circus act these days. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please share our videos with like-minded friends who want to stay informed with what's really going on. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.
You don't need that protection. I will walk on